Good evening. Welcome to our first master class. No, Monologue Monday. Obviously, we're live, so we're just going to have fun with this. We have people that have signed up and said, hey, I want to do a monologue. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to share our process and our product, I guess, or our art with you tonight. So we're going to do monologues, and then I'll jump back on with the actor for a minute or two and chat, and then we'll keep going, and I'll be the last one, and then we'll wind it up after I get through. So our first person to do a monologue is Melissa Grantham. So Melissa, if you'll take it away, the screen is yours.
Hello. Good to be here. So, all right, this is an original monologue. And so I'm going to take you back to 1920 between two friends. Oh, I remember our one kiss. We were 7, right? You'd fallen out of that willow tree, and I gave you a kiss because you were crying over your scraped leg, and I didn't want you to be crying when the other boys saw you, so shut you up. Andrew, I don't know if things would have been different if you hadn't left. I mean, you've been my best friend since we were kids, and I am really fond of you. I love you, really, in my own way. I don't know. And to be honest, even though I want to what if, I don't think you can do that. It's such a waste. I mean, especially after a war. I mean, I could sit here and what if you hadn't gone to war? What if my uncle hadn't gotten killed? But it did happen. And my grandmother showed back up in my life, and then William entered my life while you were gone. And yeah, I fell in love with him. I can't tell if that stuff would have changed. And there's no going back. The only thing that we can do now is just keep moving forward. And I don't want what we have between us to change, this bond that we've had since we were kids. All I care about is that we stay close friends always. And as far as William is concerned, I mean, he hasn't shown any inkling that his feelings the feelings I have are reciprocated. So, I mean, that being said, since I am technically not spoken for, and we are technically alone, I could let you get that grown-up kiss if you still wanted to. That's it.
Awesome.
And then there's a child.
And then we have your co-star.
I was listening in.
Okay,
I have glitter.
in a minute.
I finished my drawing.
Okay, bye.
I love live video. That's awesome.
I can't believe I got through it.
That's the beauty of live performance.
Yep.
All right, Melissa, that was lovely. Tell me what your inspiration was for writing that.
Well, this is actually taken from the book that I'm working on right now. So there's this whole, childhood friends who are growing up and think, is there something else there, or do we want to risk all that? And so, but
well, it's very.
We didn't find out what happens.
Yeah.
Who does she pick? We don't know. Well, we do. I do.
So is it hard to switch hats metaphorically from writer to performer?
Yes. Yes.
Which do you feel more comfortable doing?
I feel more comfortable writing, I think. I mean, I love doing both, and I will continue doing both as long as the good Lord and you all allow me to. But then it's also like, I think it's really, really hard performing my own stuff, especially if I start editing it in my head while it's trying to come out of my mouth.
Right. How do you turn that editor off and just be the performer?
A lot of, well, actually, a lot of times I'll just read what I've got and like read it onto a recording and then just listen to it. So I have it ingrained that way in my brain. So
Cool.
it's weird, but it works.
Well, the nice thing is that if you mess up, you're the only one that knows it.
Exactly.
So are you going to do some more Monologue Mondays?
Yes, probably won't do all of my own stuff, of course, because it is a little heart palpitating. But yes, I would love to. Definitely.
Great.
So,
well, thank you for performing for us today. And we look forward to your book whenever you publish it. So make sure you let us know how that's going. And we enjoyed the performance and we thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, up next, we have some Shakespeare, two shorter Shakespeare monologues from Andrew Smith. I'm going to let him introduce it, and then I'll jump back on with him afterwards. So have at it, Andrew.
Thank you. Good evening. It has been a long 7 months for ourselves and our avocation and our world and our community. And for the last 7 months, there have been two passages from Shakespeare that have been going through my head and in large part fighting with one another. And Tina was kind enough to give me an opportunity to get them out of my system in this context. The first needs no introduction, except it is from literature's most famous depressed Dane. This would be Hamlet Act 2, Scene 2. I will tell you why, so shall my anticipation prevent your discovery and your secrecy to the king and queen moult no feather. I have of late, but wherefore I know not, lost all my mirth, foregone all custom of exercises, and indeed it goes so heavily with my disposition that this goodly frame, the earth, seems to me a sterile promontory. This most excellent canopy, the air, look you, this brave o'erhanging firmament, this majestical roof, threaded with gold and fire. Why, it appears no other thing to me than a foul and pestilent congregation of vapors. What a piece of work is man! How noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in form and moving, how express and admirable, in action, how like an angel, in apprehension, how like a god. The beauty of the world, the paragon of animals. And yet, to me, what is this quintessence of dust? Now, that was depressing. The good news is, although I have Hamlet sitting on one shoulder, I have Henry V sitting on the other. This requires a little bit of setup. Henry V is my favorite historical play. And in a war between England and France, the English forces are drawn up outside the city of Agincourt. The English yeomen are hopelessly outnumbered, hopelessly outgunned. And across a sea of mud, arrayed against them are the flower of French chivalry, armored knights in endless array. The situation is not good. And it is so bad that one of Henry's lieutenants, the Earl of Westmoreland, says, "Oh, that we now had here but 1/10,000 of those men in England who do no work today." Henry gives the following speech to his troops. "What's he that wishes so? My cousin Westmoreland? No, my fair cousin. If we are marked to die, we are enough to do our country laws. And if to live, the fewer the men, the greater share of honor, God's will. I pray thee, wish not one man more. By Jove, I am not covetous for gold, nor care I what doth feed upon my cost. It yearns me not if men my garments wear, such outward things dwell not in my desire. But if it be a sin to covet honor, I am the most offending soul alive. No, faith, my coz, wish not a man from England God's peace. I would not lose so great an honor as one man more bethinks should share from me for the best hope I have. Oh, do not wish one more. Rather, proclaim it, Westmoreland, through my host, that he who hath no stomach to this fight, let him depart. His passport shall be made and crowns for convoy put in his purse. We would not die in that man's company that fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispia. He that outlives this day and comes safe home shall stand a tiptoe when this day is named and rouse him at the name of Crispian. He that shall see this day and live old age shall yearly on the vigil feast his neighbors and say, tomorrow is Saint Crispia. Then he shall strip his sleeve and show his scars and say, these wounds I had on Crispin's day. Old men forget. Yet all shall be forgotten. But he'll remember with advantages what feats he did that day. Then shall our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Salisbury and Exeter, Erpingham, Westmoreland, and York, shall be in their flowing cups freshly remembered. This story shall the good man teach his son, and Crispian shall ne'er go by from this day until the ending of the world, but that in it we should be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile that this day shall gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed that they were not here, and hold their manhood cheap, whilst any speaks that fought with us upon St. Crispin's day. Scene, thank you.
So, Andrew, those are two iconic monologues. You're right. One of them, dark, when Hamlet's in his darkest place, and then the speech that gets everybody fired up and ready to go battle whatever. So, why choose those?
Well, why I chose those is that it has been hard. And if you're talking hard and depressed, can you beat Hamlet? I think not. But also being a big history buff, Henry V is still remembered as the greatest warrior king in the history of England. And that speech is not only great, but historically, he was in a hell of a fix. And they managed to win the day anyway through technology and courage. And the last one has spoken a lot to me because it is so easy in this day and age to be unbelievably overwhelmed. You know, personally, professionally, looking at the world we live in. And to steal another phrase from Shakespeare, Henry is a wonderful example of screwing your courage to the sticking place and getting out and doing what is necessary regardless of the outcome, because it is right. And if you do not do what is right, there can be no right result. Put another way, it is better to be annihilated than conquered.
Well, I can tell you're passionate about it, and you can always look to Shakespeare to find words to express where you are in your life and how you're feeling. So,
Well, I've got to tell you this, Tina. My son absolutely hates Shakespeare. And he's a literary type, and he constantly harangues me about, oh, it's derivative, it comes from this and it comes from that, and blah 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 blah. And I say, you know what? I don't care if all of that's true. Can you write better dialogue than this guy? No, you cannot.
yeah, that Shakespeare guy was pretty good.
He's pretty damn slick, actually. Especially since and that was
Oh, great.
also
Well, thank
going
you for
out.
sharing those classics with us. I appreciate that.
Thank you. That goes out to my friend and fellow mechanical Wes. I hope I did it justice.
Well, thank you, Andrew. We appreciate you very much. You going to join us again down the road?
Just give me a chance.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Up next, we have Carol Villis. Take it away, Carol.
Hi, good evening. I'm going to do a very short clip from a play we're working on called Irma Bombeck at Wit's End, and it's just a little bit about what Irma's thinking. I bet she never passes varicose veins off as textured stockings or thaws pork chops by placing one under each armpit. Oh no, she spends her time lecturing us with fashion do's and don'ts, rules for entertaining, and beauty hints written as if they were a matter of life and death. Add them all up, and you've got dozens of reasons to be considered a failure. In my house, I didn't worry about perfection. For Halloween, I put the cat on my son's head and send him out as Davy Crockett. Well, there are very few women like that, but you wouldn't know it from reading this magazine and watching television or going to the movies. There was one in our neighborhood, though. When her kids played at our house, they sent thank you notes for a drink out of the garden hose. On the other hand, Mrs. Perfection and her kids didn't communicate. I speak fluent child. If you don't stop crossing your eyes, they're going to freeze that way. Put your sweater on. Don't you think I know when you're cold? When that lawnmower cuts off your toes, don't come running to me. These magazines never answer the real questions, such as, is it better to put your groceries away after each visit to the store, or just do what we do and eat them directly from the car? Oh, and those endless stories on dieting. I have been on a diet for 20 years. I've lost a total of 789 pounds. I should be hanging from a charm bracelet. I did try exercising for a while. Oh, the other girls in the class were so thin that buzzards followed them to their cars. Every day I would stretch, strain, and groan until I thought I was going to die. But once I got that leotard on, it got better. The only plus to exercise was that I got to hear heavy breathing again. And that's a bit of it. That's my little bit.
Well, Carol, tell them a little bit about what we're doing with Irma Bombeck.
Well, there's a very wonderful play which Tina and I are working on slowly but surely, and in a year or so, we hope to be able to take Irma Bombeck at Wit's End out. We want to give it to audiences. We want to prove that even if you're older than God, as I am, you can still do theater, learn lines, and have fun with it. And Irma Bombeck was so relevant to her time and is so incredibly relevant to our time. We want to bring some humor. We want to bring some thought. We want to bring a little bit of the past and tie it in with the future and what's going on now. So
Tell you, when we first, Carol and I originally, we were going to do this in the Bean Brown, and then as the pandemic got worse and we, weren't allowed to do live audiences, we said, let's just go ahead and start rehearsing. We were both so ready to be in rehearsal. So we're a bit like the group theater back in the 1930s, where they would rehearse a year and then eventually find a place to do a show. So
yeah,
so it's been fun just to be in rehearsal, and Carol, you're such a hoot. That's going to be a great piece for you. It's a one-woman show, so it's all on your shoulders, but so
try
far
not
so
to
good.
don't scare me yet, because I haven't had any wine quite yet. I'll get some next. It's much fun, and it's Tina is a wonderful director, and we always have fun together. But this is particularly nice because for an hour and a half or 2 hours, we're in a big rehearsal hall, both in masks, spouting out some lines and telling lots of fun stories.
Yeah. It's a little bit of home for us to be in rehearsal.
And gonna be, we
Even if
hope,
we are wearing masks and
yeah,
staying 6 feet away from each other.
yeah, and we hope it's going to be a great show when we do it.
It will.
Finally.
It will. I can't wait, Carol, for it to all be coming together. But you guys got a taste of that. And Carol, as always, you're such a delight. Just a delight.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. Okay. Next we have, oh my gosh, an actor who's played some of the best roles that we've had on our Theater Tuscaloosa stage. Good dear friend of mine, Westcott Youngson. Take it away, Westcott.
Hey everybody, I will be performing a part from one of my favorite works of literature, one of my favorite plays, The Grapes of Wrath. I'll be performing the part of Preacher Jim Casey. I got to tell you, I ain't no preacher no more. If me being glad to be here, me being thankful for people that are kind and generous, if that's enough, I can say that kind of grace. I've been thinking. I've been in the hills thinking, almost you might say, like Jesus went into the wilderness to think his way out of a mess of troubles. Now, I ain't saying I'm like Jesus, but I got tired like him, and I got mixed up like him, and I went into the wilderness like him without no hand camping stuff. And I got to thinking, only it wasn't thinking, it was deeper down than thinking. I got to thinking how there was the moon and the stars and the hills, and there was me looking at them, and we wasn't separate no more. We was one thing. Not one thing was holy. I got to thinking how we was holy when we was one thing, and mankind was holy when it was one thing. And it only got unholy when one miserable little fella got the bit in his teeth and run off in his own direction, kicking and dragging and fighting. A fella like that bust the holiness. But when it's all working together, kind of harnessed to the whole shebang, that's right. That's holy. I got to thinking, I don't even know what I mean by holy. Oh, I'm glad for the holiness of supper. I'm glad that there's love here. That's all. I can't say grace the way I used to. I done got y'all supper cold. Amen.
one of my favorite monologues, Westcott, from one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
So we're living the grapes of wrath, aren't we?
We are. I think, that's kind of why I picked it. I was trying to think of something really funny, but just the common man and the idea of the common man and looking for the holy and the unholy in an unholy world. And, I love him because he never gives up hope of that. He, until the very end, he wants that. He's wanting to fight for the common man, and he's wanting to fight for goodness and wanting to fight, the way I see it is, he's wanting to fight for God, he's wanting to fight for goodness and hope.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to see hope when things are dark. What do you do these days to hold on to hope?
I've been doing a lot of writing. I think, a lot of contemplation, a lot of prayers. For me, prayer is something that really works. And I've been doing a lot of that. I've just trying to accept things as they come. We've done our improv classes, and I think that was one of those things I've found with the things that I'm going through right now, that I'm so thankful I had those classes, because it has really helped me so much to be in the moment. And by just taking things as they come, each moment, I'm able to find the blessings in that and find the hope and the kindness and the love in that.
Well, you have always spread that in full every time I've ever been around you or been in rehearsals. So I appreciate you doing that monologue. I love that show so much, and I love that speech so much. And I hadn't thought about it in a long time. So I'm glad you gave us a little Steinbeck to chew on a little bit. You going to join us later on when we continue to do these?
Absolutely. I'd love to.
That's awesome. Wes, as always, I love to watch you perform. So thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Well, I guess it's me. Gosh, I haven't acted in a long time. I'm a little rusty, but I thought, what the heck, might be fun to pull something out. So I pulled out a monologue from Love, Valor, Compassion by Terrence McNally. And it's got some funny stuff, but these are guys that are going through a lot, and one of them has AIDS and is dealing with that. And so I just thought this was a quirky, interesting monologue. So Love, Valor, Compassion. Perry, if this were a musical, that would be a great cue for Steam Heat. I've got steam heat. I've got steam heat. Of course, if this were a musical, there would be plenty of hot water and it would have a happy ending. Life and Gregory's Plumbing should be more like a musical. That's why I like them, even the sad ones. The orchestra plays, the characters die, the audience cries, the curtain falls. The actors get up off the floor, the audience puts on their coats, and everybody goes home feeling better. That's a happy ending, Perry. Just once, I want to see a West Side Story where Tony really gets it, where they all die, the Sharks and the Jets and Maria while we're at it. And Officer Krupke, what's he doing sneaking out of the theater? Get back here and die with everybody else, you son of a bitch. Or A King and I, where Yulbrunner doesn't get up from that little Siamese bed for a curtain call. I want to see A Sound of Music where the entire Von Trapp family dies in an authentic alpine avalanche. A Kiss Me Kate where she's got a big cold sore on her mouth. A funny thing happened on the way to the forum where the only thing that happens is nothing and it's not funny and they all go down waiting. Waiting for what? Waiting for nothing. Waiting for death, like everyone I know and care about is, including me. That's a musical I want to see, Perry, but they don't write musicals like that anymore. In the meantime, Gangway World. Get off of my runway. Okay, that's my contribution. A little Love, Valor, Compassion. These are fun. They're real relaxed, and it's a chance for us to practice our craft and enjoy one another. And so we hope that you'll continue to join us. We're going to do this once a month, and there'll be a sign up place on our website where you can sign up and be a performer. Our technical guru this evening was Adam Miller, our managing director. So we thank Adam very much for his help in getting all this up and running. And we hope that you'll continue to follow us at theatertest.com, continue to follow us on our YouTube page. So make sure that you subscribe right down there below and ring that little bell so you get noticed whenever we are doing something. And check out our other Facebook and all the other social media. We're around. So even though we can't be in person, we're going to keep creating. We're going to keep coming to you live via the internet until we can gather together again. And stay posted, because we're going to eventually be back to performing live theater. There's nothing like it. But in the meantime, we're going to keep creating the best way we know how. So thank you all for joining us this evening. And I want to thank Wes and Melissa and Carol, Andrew for performing for us and sharing their talent with us this evening. We hope you have a good evening. Stay safe. Make sure you spread joy and not germs. Wear your mask. Good evening, everybody.